Welcome to the Chapter 20 guided assignment. And this is about an entertainment company, which is kind of cool, but they do shows, and we're supposed to figure out their profitability, I guess, and some other things. So why don't we just kind of jump into it and see where it takes us. So let's see. Tower Productions performs London shows. The average show sells 1,000 tickets at $60 per ticket. There are 140 shows per year. No additional shows can be held because the theater has other things. The average show has a cast of 60, each earning an average of $320 per show. The cast is paid after each show. The other variable costs are $8 in program costs, and there's fixed costs of $459,200. So first it says select the formula and enter the amounts to compute sales revenue for each show. And that shouldn't be too bad, right? That seems pretty doable. So we'll start there. So it's pretty easy. Our revenue per show, per unit in this case, the show is the unit, times the number of units sold. Oh, actually, not shows, the tickets is the number of units. That's going to give us the sales revenue per show. So our net sales per unit, or net revenue per unit, sorry, is $60. And our number of units sold is 1,000. So that's going to come out to $60,000 revenue per show. All right, select the formula and enter the amounts to compute variable costs for each show. Compute the variable cost per show for each cost separately. So let's see. If we're going to figure that out, we're going to figure out our cost per unit times the total number of units, right? So that would be number of units. There it is. So the cost for the programs is $8 per unit. And if we sell 1,000 tickets, then we're going to have 1,000 programs. And our cost for performers is $320 per performer. And there are 60 per show. So 320, 60. So that's 19,200. And then $8,000 for the programs. So our total variable cost per show is 27,200. All right, so now it says to use the equation approach to compute the number of shows Tower Productions must perform each year to break even. So our equation would be our net sales revenue minus our variable costs minus our fixed costs equals our target profit. And then so let's make sure that's right. And then it says to rearrange the formula to determine, rearrange the formula you determined above to compute the required number of shows to break even. So remember, at break even, that means our target profit is 0. So all we have to do is solve this equation, and there's not an easy way for me to show you this on the screen, but in essence, our equation would be something like this. Our net sales revenue times X, where X is the number of shows, minus our variable costs times X, where X is the number of shows, minus fixed costs equals 0. And then we just rearrange it and solve for X. So, and then I guess we could have our net sales revenue times X minus variable costs times X would equal our fixed costs. And then we could factor out the X, and it would be X times our net sales revenue minus our variable costs equals our fixed costs. And then X would equal our fixed costs divided by our net sales revenue minus our variable costs. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's say that X, meaning the number of shows, equals our fixed costs, which were 459,200, divided by our sales revenue per show of 60,000 minus our variable cost per show of 27,200. And that's going to come out to 14 shows to break even. All right, so now we're going to use our contribution margin ratio approach to compute the number of shows needed to earn a profit of $4,264,000. So our contribution margin approach is going to be our fixed costs plus our target profit divided by our contribution margin ratio. It's going to give us our required sales in dollars. And so let's see what we know and what we don't know. We do know our fixed costs for the year are 459,200. We know our target profit that's given to us here, which is 4,264,000. We don't yet know our contribution margin ratio, but we can calculate that. So our contribution margin is our revenue minus our variable expense or variable cost. That gives us the contribution margin ratio. So our revenue per show is $60,000, and our variable expense per show is 27,200. So our contribution margin ratio per show, our contribution margin per show is 32,800, and our contribution margin ratio is equal to our contribution margin divided by our revenue. Whoops, something was weird there. Let's have that expressed as a percentage. All right, so it's 54.67 is our contribution margin ratio. All right, so if I take my fixed costs, my target profit, again, fixed costs 459,200, and target profit 4,264,000. And I add those, and divide that by my contribution margin ratio. That's going to give me my required sales in dollars, which is 8,639,473. All right, so now I've got to figure out the number of shows necessary to make that happen. And since I know, let's see, I need sales of 8,639,473, and I know that I make $60,000 revenue per show, and I know I need to do 144 shows to break even. Not to break even, but to make that target profit of 4,264,000. So now I have to ask, is this goal realistic? And so I would have to do 144 shows to make that target profit, but I only do 140 shows a year. So we're going to say that it's unrealistic. And then the last thing they're going to ask us to do is to prepare a contribution margin income statement. So that's going to have our sales revenue minus our variable costs equals our contribution margin minus our fixed costs will equal our operating income. So, and this is for 140 shows per year. So I'll just do it this way. So our revenue, or we have 140 shows. So our revenue is going to equal 60,000 times 140 shows, or $8,400,000. Our variable costs will be 27,200 times 140, or 3,808,000. Our contribution margin will be our revenue minus our variable expense, 4,592. Our fixed costs are 459,200. And our operating income then will be our contribution margin minus our fixed costs. And that's it. Hopefully that was helpful for you, and I hope you have a great week.